Plantain production is a business that is profitable and that at the long run can change the life of the local farmer. To do plantain production, there are certain things we need to know. The first thing is planning. Planning is very, very important if we want to succeed in our plantain plantation, because the Englishman says, failing to plan is simply planning to fail. So we need to plan before we start anything concerning plantain production. So what do we mean by planning? Planning simply means if we want to enter into plantain production, we need to first of all establish our objectives. We want to do production for what purpose? If it is to sell, for which market? Is it a local market? Is it a regional market? Is it international market? If we identify our market, the next thing to know is what form of the plantain do we want to put in the market? Is it the fresh bunch? Is it processed plantain? After knowing that, we now need to identify where we have to grow this plantain. After identification, we now need to know the variety, because there are several varieties of plantain. At the level of Kabab, we have more than 145 varieties of plantain alone. So, and these plantain varieties are specific for specific products and for specific market. So after identifying our variety, we now need to know how much it will cost to install this plantain plantation. Knowing how much it costs, it means we need to know where we get that money from. Identifying the source of the finance, the next thing is to know where we have to get the planting material. Because we now have our variety, we need to know where to get the planting material and the quantity of planting material needed to establish our plantain farm. All this is still planning. We're still at the level of planning. After obtaining the planting material, after knowing where we get the planting material, the next thing to know is where the labor will come from. If we have to install irrigation, what will be the cost of that irrigation system? Where we have our land, is there the source of water? All these are planning. After we finish planning, we can now say we have our business plan. We can now go into installing our plantain plantation. The first thing to do is to identify the site where we have to plant these plantains. And identifying the site, the primordial thing to know is that the site must be accessible. Accessible for inputs that we will take to the farm, accessible for collecting our end product and getting them out of the farm to the market, because it is needless to install our plantain farm where it is not accessible. In that case, we are going to have a lot of losses. Now, we've identified our farm, our site, it is accessible. The next thing to do is land preparation. Land preparation can be mechanic, it can be manual, it can be chemical. It now depends upon where we are found. If we are in a forest zone, we need to do mostly manual, because there are a lot of trees. We need to first of all do the underbrushing, we do the felling, and then we crisscross the wood before we do our lining. And for our plantain plantation to be sustainable, we need to avoid burning. So that is for the forest zone. For the savanna zone, we don't have big trees. We can do it manually, we can do it chemically or mechanically. depending upon how flat the land is found. So after having prepared the land, we need to do our lining. Lining will depend upon the density. It depends upon the variety. It depends upon the objectives. After lining, we do our holding. And holding too is a very, very important aspect in plantain production. There are various dimensions, but at the level of research, the dimension that is profitable is 40 centimeters wide, 40 centimeters long, and 40 centimeters deep. This is the ideal dimension. If we do holding less than that dimension, most of our plantains will fall before flowering, and we're going to have a lot of lost. If we do it deeper than the 40 centimeter, we are actually wasting energy, resources, and time. And also, if we do it deeper than 40, the plantain that we plant, they will need to grow up and get out of that depth, thereby wasting a lot of energy that would have been used for its growth and development, for it to get out of that hole. So in order to do planting and good plantation, it is good to respect this depth. The next thing is to plant the plants. It is advisable to use clean planting material. Clean planting material. If we use clean planting material, we are sure that our farms will be sustainable. We are sure to harvest in good quantity. If the materials are clean and are homogeneous, it means they are going to grow together. They will fly together. We can easily program harvesting. That is why we do advise farmers to use the PIF planting material.
When doing the pairing, the explant should be very neat. When we wash it like this, we place it inside a wheelbarrow. So this is just to reduce the soil or any dirt that is on it. After washing the suckers, we place them on the table. We use our kitchen knife to do what is called paring, to remove this outer layer so as to eliminate all infected areas of the suckers. Have to observe to see any spot like this. We have to remove it because an area like this is already infected, so we have to remove it. Because what we're doing this is just to make sure that we do not have any infection on the eggplant. Because the major objective is to have very clean and healthy planting material. After doing the pairing, the eggplants are kept for 48 hours. Before we go to the next stage. After 48 hours, we take our eggplant, we do what is called crisscrossing. That is to obstruct the main stem from continuing growing, so as to allow the buds which are inside the eggplant to proliferate. When doing this, we go down gradually so that we should not destroy the buds which are there. The crisscrossing, we have to do it 3 times. So we have to be sure that we have already destroyed or obstruct the main stem. After 30 minutes, we take our explant, we introduce it in the propagator, which is made up of sawdust. There inside our propagator, it will last for say 30 days, 25 to 30 days. At that time, we have to do what's called reactivation, because by then all the bud must have already sparred up. Here is the introduction. We are putting in the propagator, the explant, inside the sawdust. We place it side by side, like this. After that, we cover the explant. The thickness is around 2 centimeters. After introducing our explant, we cover our propagator very well in order to maintain the temperature inside, so that it will be high, because for us to make the explant to proliferate faster. The instruction covering, the next day we do the water after 24 hours. We have to water the propagator. After watering it, we wait for 30 days, that's 1 month. After those 30 days, we have plant which already sprout up like this. At this stage, we cannot win them to transplant, because we still have to reactivate these ones in order to have so many other buds. After 30 days, we come now for reactivation. You have to remove each explant. When doing it, you should be very careful that we should not destroy the buds. Do it gradually. Yes, at this stage, we use small knives to reactivate. We did the very process that we did outside during the incision, so that this one too will produce more plantlets. We come with a small knife. We win the plantlet that have at least 2 leaves and above. The smaller one will allow them. Next, after 2 weeks again, we'll come, or 10 days, depending on the climate. But at time when during the dry season, when places are too hot, we'll do it after 10 days. But within the dry season, the rainy season, when places are cold, we'll go up to 14 days. We come here, we look at the plants which are ready, those which are already having 2 leaves and above. We win them. When we win these 2 plantlets, we go and transplant them inside the polythene bag to wait for 2 months or more before taking them to the farm. We'll see the process, next process outside.
Donc, après le sévrage, les plantules doivent être repiquées. Repiquées dans ces pots qui contiennent un substrat qui est en fait constitué de sable et de pâche à café à proportion de 60% de pâche à café et de 40% de sable. Alors, comment les repique-t-on? Nous les repiquons de telle sorte que cette partie, tout le blanc que vous voyez là, soit entièrement dans le pot et de façon assez droite, comme vous le voyez. Voilà. Donc, nous avons des lots homogènes des carrés de 100, ce qui nous permet facilement de savoir combien de plants ou de plantules nous avons repiqués dans une ombrière comme celle-ci. L'ombrière est couverte d'une toile qui peut laisser l'infiltration solaire à 50 ou 60%. c'est important pour la croissance aussi des plants. Si l'infiltration solaire est beaucoup plus faible, alors ça va créer la perte des plants. Maintenant que nous avons repiqué ces plants, c'est important de connaître l'identité des variétés qui ont été repiquées. Nous utilisons des étiquettes où nous mettons la variété, nous mettons aussi la date de repiquage. Avec ces éléments, nous sommes capables de dire aux clients que tel est constitué de telle variété et nous pouvons déjà prévoir à quel moment ces plants peuvent être prêts pour le transfert au champ. L'opération suivante, il faut savoir noter que ces plants, dans une dizaine de jours, vont émettre des racines. Et après, il faut une fertilisation pour pouvoir leur permettre de grandir normalement. Et la fertilisation que nous utilisons ici, c'est le NPK. Voilà, le NPK. Après, maintenant, nous utilisons aussi un système d'irrigation qui leur permet de recevoir de l'eau assez régulièrement. L'eau est très importante, surtout quand on est en saison sèche. S'il n'y a pas suffisamment d'eau, beaucoup de ces plants vont mourir, ils ne pourront pas résister.
After planting, we need to manage the farm. Management means we need to control weeds, pests, diseases. We also need to control weeds. In a nutshell, that is the process of creating and managing a plantain farm. The next thing to know, which is quite important, is do we do sole cropping? Do we do association? For example, here we have our plantain, which is mixed with other crops, and they are mostly leguminous crops. These leguminous crops are crops with short cycle, 3 months, 4 months. So when we plant our plantain, we intercrop them with these leguminous crops. And most of these crops are crops that don't have nematodes which are specific to plantains. So these crops, they will help us to suppress the weeds. These crops, they will help us to provide funds that will be needed to manage this our plantain farm, because these crops will be harvested 3 to 4 months when the plantains are still young. And that money will now be used to manage the plantain farm. After about 6 months, this plantain farm, they are going to cover, and then they will shed this area so that weeds will not easily grow. So in this situation, we call these crops, these leguminous crops, we call them our breakfast. And we call the plantain our lunch and our supper. Simply meaning that while waiting to harvest the plantains, we start making money from this leguminous crop. So this is an association that we recommend those who want to enter into industrial plantain production, because it will go a long way to help them reduce the cost of herbicide. It will help them get money that can easily manage the plantain farm. It will also help them reduce the cost of pesticide that will be used to treat the plantain. And there are other situations wherein other crops are planted, like tomato, like watermelon. These are crops that need watering, irrigation in the dry season. These are crops that need fertilizer. These are crops that also need pest control. So as these crops will be controlled, the plantain will now benefit from it. Therefore, our cost of production for the plantain will greatly reduce if we do associate them with these leguminous crops.